11Alive News starts now.
It is 10 a.m. on this Wednesday, January 7th. I'm Dan Kennedy, and it is great to be with you here from 11Alive's new streaming center. We've built out this new streaming center to bring you the news in a different way, a way you're not used to. And we've been doing it for a few days now, a busy couple of days as we follow breaking news as it happens, both nationally and here at home. We're talking about the weather. We're keeping an eye on traffic and also some big headlines. And I'm excited for some of the stories we have ahead for you this morning, including speaking with a statewide epidemiologist about surging flu cases that we're seeing in Georgia. Also talking to a couple of our colleagues at our sister station in Indianapolis about the big game, Oregon and Indiana, a little later this week right here in Atlanta. So we're going to be previewing that game, and it's all done here in this brand new studio. I want to give a shout out to Reams, Gabby, and Jason, who are helping us put the show on. And you see Chesley McNeil taking his seat because we got to run through the forecast today. If you're waking up this morning, you realize there is still some more fog out there. Chesley's been warning you about it all week long. Chesley, it appears most of it kind of burning off at this point.
Yes, we do by 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, a lot of that would start to get out of the way, which is good news for us, and it's going to get a little bit better. It was very dense again this morning. I mean, man, we can't get rid of it. It's pesky around the area, just like those clouds like to hang around Atlanta for some reason. Maybe because we're on the warm side again today. Take a look at Noonan. It's getting better. All morning long, we could not see that building that you're watching right there, so the fog is starting to lift. We still have mostly cloudy skies on the outside, and if you like that shot, look at this one.
Ooh.
We couldn't see the track earlier at Echo Park Speedway, but now that's getting better as well. And you can actually see the lift, right? You see that low-level cloudiness around, but it's no longer at the surface. So that's getting better as well. Look at these visibilities. We're still reduced to zero visibility in places like Carrollton and over toward Covington as well, up toward George's Rome, zero visibility in parts of those areas. Getting better in Atlanta. We were down to less than a half-mile visibility. Now we're up closer to a mile, so it's getting better there. Excellent visibility up toward Canton. You got 7 miles visibility. So as that fog begins to lift, guess what? We're going to see some sunshine in the forecast area, and those temperatures today will get close to a record, Dan.
Is that right?
Yes, 71 degrees.
I mean, because this is one of the warmer January weeks I remember.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But we've been on that roller coaster. We talked about it yesterday.
Yep.
So that's going to continue. And I can't let people go without letting them know that by next week, you're going to feel the difference.
Can we check out the 7-day? I'm curious to know what things are going to be looking like a few days from now, because I guess, as Chesley's been telling us for a few days now, enjoy it while it lasts.
You will be seeing temperatures in the 70s for at least through Friday. And then once we get to Sunday, that's when you'll feel the difference. By Sunday, temperatures will be down into the 50s for highs. And so we've already experienced this once. It's going to happen again for us. We're looking at temperatures in the 50s. Even some 40s could be around as we start the work week next week. A lot of the kids are going back to school, college.
Yep.
Next week.
Okay.
Right? And so hopefully if they came in early, they get a chance to enjoy some of this mild weather that we have before the bottom falls out.
Yeah, get there early and enjoy your studies, right?
There you go. There you go. And do well this semester, kids.
There you heard it. Chesley, great to see you, man. Thank you as always.
All right.
Chesley McNeil, check your forecast. He's talking about that fog, and earlier this week we had that ground stop at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport because of the fog. I can tell you right now, as that fog is lifting, not a big deal that we are seeing at the airport, not like the delays and cancellations we saw earlier this week. Really, the biggest issue we saw at the airport last night came from kind of a freak accident. A plane landing at the airport had its tires blown out upon landing, and we have a close-up shot of those tires. Gabby, if we could take that, it kind of tells the story. This plane was coming in from Peru last night around dinner time when it landed. The passengers clearly shaken as they were getting off because it was a bumpy ride. That's a look at the inside of the plane. But thankfully, everybody is okay. All passengers eventually safely removed from that aircraft, and really no mention of any injuries that we know about. Let's get a little more from our Stephanie Haynock, who was at the airport this morning, breaking down how this happened.
Yeah, so we know that the passengers on this plane, they were coming here to Atlanta from Peru when the plane hit the ground very hard and multiple tires were blown out. One passenger describing the plane as shaking violently before eventually coming to a stop. This is cell phone video of what those tires look like shortly after the 11 Airlines flight landed here at Hartsville-Jackson Airport Tuesday night. You can see a little of what was left over of those busted tires. Also, the emergency crews responding there on the tarmac. The Federal Aviation Administration telling 11Alive that the plane blew multiple tires after safely landing. Here's a closer look at what has been described as melted tires. The plane landed at 7:48 p.m., but passengers were stuck on board for more than an hour before being escorted off. Now, one passenger telling us that she heard those tires pop and that the plane kept moving very fast instead of slowing down.
We were landing fine, and then it's like it sounded like or felt like the wheels had popped, and then it was like a shaky thing. The door of the bathroom fell off.
And we have reached out to LATAM Airlines for a comment regarding this incident. We're still waiting to hear back. I'm Stephanie Chadok, 11Alive News.
Okay, Seth, thanks for that report. Another story we're following right now, expected to begin any minute right now, is a special Senate committee here in Georgia talking about possibly eliminating the state income tax here. Some people are campaigning on it and the run for governor, including Burt Jones. And we are, again, waiting for that to start any minute. We're going to be monitoring that. And if anything interesting comes of that this morning, we will bring it to you live, because this is one of those stories that impacts your bottom line and hits you in the wallet. All right, coming up next, we have a live report from outside Mercedes-Benz with a couple of our colleagues from our sister station in Indianapolis. We are talking about the big game between Indiana and Oregon coming up this Friday night at the Benz. I'll see you in just 2 minutes. Hey, all eyes on Atlanta Friday night as Oregon and Indiana play in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. It's at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We are all looking forward to the game. And I'm happy to be joined this morning by a couple of our colleagues out of Indianapolis at our sister station, WTHR. We got Dominic and Eli. Hey, guys, and welcome to balmy Georgia in January. How you doing?
How's 70 degrees for a college football playoff semifinal? We're pumped up to be here. It's been all sorts of fun covering IU and Atlanta, a great host city, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And we kind of go back to last week. Feels like we haven't seen the sun in a couple of weeks.
Right.
Going back to Indianapolis, and then even in Pasadena last week, where it rained 2 times in the entire year, it seems. So we got stuck under that. But yeah, excited to get here, boots on the ground in Atlanta, and ready for hopefully an exciting game Friday night.
No doubt.
We're happy to give you the sun because you have given us an incredible story this year with Indiana. Heisman Trophy winner, won the Big Ten. They're undefeated, #1 team in the country, beat Alabama by 35 points in the Rose Bowl, and now they're favorites to win the national championship. I mean, if I had told you all that at the start of the season, what would you have told me?
It'd make one hell of a movie.
Yeah.
Just like Kurt Signetti said after winning the Rose Bowl, just as we all expected, right? IU to be unbeaten and be here at this point in the season. I think we all were really happy about what happened a year ago, but I think we would be guilty of it too, saying that it was just a fluke or maybe prove it again, and they've done nothing but do that this entire season. It's been a joy to watch and so much fun to cover.
Yeah, how Kurt Signetti has coached this team and turned it around needs to be studied.
Yeah, right.
Honestly, this is something we have never seen before. And kind of echoing what Dom said, you look back at last year, the great story, the feel-good story of the college football season, but then to take it to another level this year and not only prove the nation wrong in how it thought of this program, but overdid everything.
Yeah.
And then you go back to, which is going to be a rematch Friday, that win in Eugene against Oregon earlier this year was when it was really put on the map that IU is for real, and they've proven it ever since, imposing their will on just about every opponent they faced this year.
I think that's what's so impressive is the way they're winning. Not just that they're winning, but they're taking their opponent's will. They're wanting to do the exact same thing here on Friday night.
Yeah, so how can they get it done? I mean, let's talk about this game specifically. #1 versus #5. You're favored by about a field goal, I think is the latest I've seen. What are the keys to winning that game?
Well, I'll say this. Echoing what Eli said, that was the game. On the road, in Eugene, a place that's really difficult to win, where IU burst onto the scene yet again. If you weren't a believer before, you were a believer after that game, and they'd have done nothing but outdo themselves every point following that win in Eugene. Comes down to trench play. We've been talking about it throughout this season, throughout these playoffs, the Big Ten championship, offensive line and defensive line. It feels like Indiana dominates that part of the game with everybody they play. They ran the ball at will against Alabama. They held Alabama to under 30 rushing yards. So you're going to win a lot of games when you do that. Oregon, obviously a very good team, just one loss to Indiana on the year. It's a Big Ten battle, a good old-fashioned Big Ten battle. Oregon and IU, right? It'll be a lot of fun, but I think if you dominate the trenches, you win this game.
Yeah, I think it is too. So Indiana has just played their brand of football the entire year. That's what Signetti, that's what these players have harped on the entire time. They have they have experienced players. A lot of starters that have played at least 25 games in their collegiate careers. Doesn't matter what level it's at, but they're experienced players and they play their way, and controlling their line of scrimmage is the biggest thing. Also, the biggest thing, limiting turnovers and forcing takeaways has been the bread and butter for this Indiana team this year. They lead the country in turnover margin. They do things right. They don't make mistakes.
Right.
We're yet to see it this year. Now, they've had some close games. You go back to the Big Ten championship game, but they're able to find ways to get it done. And that's kind of just what you anticipate at this point come Friday night.
When you ask us what the key is to winning, and we both don't mention the Heisman winning quarterback,
That's crazy.
That's how you know a team does a lot of things very, very well. So IU, that's what's got them here.
And it's been built by a heck of a coach. What's it like being around and covering Kirk Signetti? I mean, I think back to that clip where Indiana defeats Ohio State to win the Big Ten championship, and he is just stone-faced. Is he like that all the time? Is he just laser focused behind the scenes too?
It's been interesting following him these past 2 years because he's even admitted last year he wanted to say some outlandish things to get this fan base, get this university and this football program thinking in different ways, thinking they could do this and that this was possible. He's kind of tapered off a little this year, but I will say, yes, he's laser focused all the time. Eli was there every single Monday morning following a win. You saw all of his press conferences.
Yes.
What was he like here too?
He's a psycho in a good way. He's a football guy. He enjoys getting into the film room and breaking down film. I think it was last week he went back and watched a game that happened back in week 3 between two teams that he wasn't even a part of this season. So he's addicted to being in the film room. The one-liners that he has are to be noted, right? He's made national spotlight with some of those lines that he said throughout his tenure here at Indiana. And yes, he's as stone-faced as you can imagine, and he likes to give a little wink and a smirk every now and then talking about this program and what they've accomplished. But yeah, fantastic coach. Who would have thought 2 years ago when Indiana hires Signetti as a 62-year-old second-time head coach coming over from James Madison, that they would lead to this. He's represented the program and the community of Bloomington very well like it as well.
Yeah, he's embraced it. 2 losses in 2 years. We'll keep him.
He's a Nick Saban disciple, and they seem to be doing pretty well for themselves when they break off and kind of do their own thing. Fellas, final question. I'm just curious to know your predictions as we head into these last couple of weeks. Who do you see in the national championship game? How's it going?
Well, we predicted a very low-scoring Rose Bowl, and we were pretty off on that, so I don't know if you won our predictions. But I do think this is going to be a great game. It's incredibly difficult to beat a team twice. We know this, right? Even though I think we could agree that Indiana maybe is a better football team than Oregon, even by a slight margin, it's very hard to beat a team twice. Dan Lanning's a heck of a coach over there for the Ducks. I think it's going to be low-scoring, maybe 24-21. Coin flip who's going to win that game. I do think we're going to get IU Miami at Hard Rock Stadium for the national championship, and what a scene that would be.
Yeah, that would be awesome, and I kind of agree with that too. I'm going to take IU in Miami, but in this game, I'm going to go a little higher scoring. I'm going to go 38-28 IU. And that's the thing, as you mentioned, Dan Lanning and this Oregon team has been licking their beak to get back to this game and playing the Hoosiers ever since this bracket came out. It's here now. It's the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. Going to be a blast Friday night.
Dom, Eli, it is great seeing both of you. Thank you so much for your time. And, hey, be sure to enjoy Atlanta. And I got to say, a lot of people here jumping on the bandwagon, and for good reason, with Indiana.
All right, we love to hear it. Thanks for having us.
All right, take care, fellas. Thanks. All right, want to get back to some of the other news we're following this morning. I mentioned that special Senate hearing when it comes to the state income tax in Georgia. It has just gotten underway, and this is a look at it right now. We are monitoring anything that comes to that, and in fact, if you want to watch this right now in full, you can stream it by just clicking down on 11Alive right now in the Plus app, and we are streaming this for you separately on a separate channel there, and you can watch that now. Otherwise, I will see you back here in just a couple minutes. We are talking about the surge in flu cases when we return after this short break. Hey, welcome back. Good to be with you at 10:17 this morning. We are live on 11Alive Plus, and it is Wednesday, January 7th. Hope you and your family staying healthy as we are coming off the holidays. Unfortunately, a lot of people coming down with the flu this season. We are watching as cases surge. We've been talking about it for a few days right now. It is widespread and severe here in Georgia. I want to bring in a state epidemiologist here in Georgia, Dr. Sherry Drensick, joining us now. Dr. Drensick, it's great to have you with us on an important topic. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you, Dan. It's a pleasure to be here.
So when we talk about the flu being widespread and severe, what does that actually look like in ERs and doctors' offices across the state?
Yeah, this season is really shaping up to be a bad flu season, it looks like. What we're seeing now are actually over almost 12% of all visits to emergency departments in Georgia are due to what we call influenza-like illness, people that have symptoms of flu. So this is really high. It's even higher than it is nationally. Nationally, it's at about 8.6%. This is really what we consider sort of peak levels of flu, and is much higher than over the previous few years. We're seeing flu all across the state. It's not concentrated really in one area of the state versus another. And what also is really significant, I think, about this season versus, for example, last, is that already in Georgia, we have documented 29 deaths due to influenza infection. Three-quarters of those were in individuals that were older, over the age of 65. But if you look back last year at the same time, we hadn't documented any yet.
Wow.
We did later in the season we did, but it seems to be typical of a year like this where we have what we call an H3N2 strain that's slightly different, has mutated a little bit, and is causing these severe flu infections.
Are we also seeing any kind of Christmas surge in these numbers? I think back to the COVID times when we were all worried about gathering for the holidays and spreading the virus. Is it the same thing with the flu? Have any numbers started to pop up in these weekly reports that would have been spread from being around sick family members over the last couple of weeks, or is that yet to come a little later this month?
I think it's still yet to come. I think we certainly are beginning to see this kind of ranging throughout the month of December. And that's fairly typical. It's fairly typical from year to year. This season just seems to be, much harder hit where, we're really at the magnitude is much higher than we see typically. But yes, I expect that our flu cases and will continue to surge in the coming weeks as we look at, not only post-holiday, but, again, back to school, back to work, etc.
So what's the best thing folks can do right now to try to protect themselves?
Well, the most important thing is actually to ensure that you get vaccinated. Even though it's the beginning of January, it's still not too late. And it takes a couple of weeks almost to really get your immune system revved up against the flu. So if you haven't gotten the flu vaccine, please do so. And the other thing that I think is very important as well are the usual tried and true measures to reduce the spread of germs. And that is, please stay home when you've got symptoms of flu. Don't go to school. Don't go to work. And practice what we call good respiratory hygiene. Wash your hands, cover your coughs, but staying home is paramount.
What's going to be the biggest thing folks need to watch for if they start to feel some symptoms popping up and say, I'm not sure if it's the cold or it's the flu? What's going to be that telltale sign that they're dealing with something a little more than just a cold this winter?
Yeah, the symptoms of flu tend to, again, hit you hard really rapidly. And and you may have a fever as well, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. People seem to report that when you have flu versus a cold, it sort of feels like everything in your whole body aches like immediately. So monitor yourself. There are antivirals that can be given early on in the course of flu, especially for people that are vulnerable to complications of flu, if they're elderly. So again, you may want to consult with your healthcare provider if that's appropriate for you.
And Dr. Drinsick, it's worth bearing repeating that it's not too late to get the flu shot, as you just said a moment ago. And here in Georgia, I was looking through the numbers, and only about 17% of adults and 13% of kids are vaccinated against the flu this season. What do you make of those numbers? Are those low compared to years past, and why could that be?
It seems that this is really a national phenomenon in the sense that, yes, flu vaccine coverage so far this year across the nation and in Georgia seems to be lower than it has been in the past. And for whatever reason it is, our flu season kind of started out slowly. But now that it's ramped up to this degree, it really just begs and underscores the importance of going ahead and getting vaccinated. Even now, we expect to see flu circulating, even through the spring. So go ahead and do that if you haven't had a chance to do it right away.
Dr. Drinsick, I appreciate your time. I hope we can talk under some better circumstances, maybe once cases start coming down. Hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. Anything else you want to leave our viewers with before you go?
I think we've covered it all, but I just want to reiterate one more time. This season is shaping up to be a bad one. So if you haven't been vaccinated, please go ahead and do so. It not only protects you, but it protects your vulnerable family members and our communities.
Dr. Drinsick, thank you so much for your time. And we're back in just a couple more minutes with more local news right after this short break. We are approaching 10:30 here on 11Alive Plus. Good to be with you. Hey, have you heard about this story? Because a lot of folks are going to be talking about it. About 50 miles east of Atlanta, there's a small town called Social Circle. You see it here on the map. And in Social Circle right now, many residents are pushing back against a potential ICE detention center. The folks you're looking at in this video right now attended a packed town hall last night. At question is this massive industrial warehouse on East Hightower Trail, the supposed site in question that could potentially triple the population effectively overnight in Social Circle. Fewer than 5,000 people live in that town right now. But now there is talks, per a Washington Post article, to potentially build an ICE detention facility there in Social Circle. And a lot of people, like the ones who showed up last night, saying, we're not for it. And here's a few reasons why. Opponents say that giving that massive building to the feds would mean the city losing a big chunk of property taxes. About $500,000 a year right now is what that massive facility is paying in property taxes to Social Circle. But in addition to that, city leaders say they don't have the sewer, the medical, or public safety infrastructure to support a population surge that would come along with it. So this story is one of those that is going to be far from over. Going to be the kind of story we are going to keep a close eye on. We don't know if this is a done deal yet. Those in Social Circle tell us they don't know if it's a done deal yet because they say they haven't been able to get any straight answers from the federal government. All right, now let's talk about state government. Here in Georgia, there is that special Senate committee hearing going on right now. We've been showing you video from it throughout the morning, but now I want to actually listen in live because they are talking about how a potential elimination of state income tax would affect you. Let's listen in.
I think this report, the timing of it, and I mean, just kind of, it's another capstone, I think, of the work of Governor Kemp and this legislature to see personal income taxes go down at the rate that we've seen, as Chairman Huffstetler talked about, over the last many years. I would say respectfully to my friend from Atlanta, Senator Orrock, that, you know, I hope this is not a moment in time where the Democrats are going to sit here and want to shout affordability in your TV commercials, but today we're going to vote against something that helps blue-collar, middle-class families that are seeking relief. I think the other thing, too, I think it's a little preposterous to compare the Georgia economy to Colorado. Colorado has tanked their economy. They've ruined their economy. They've legalized marijuana. We can get into a whole bunch of subjects about why crime has gone up and the other issues around Denver and parts of their city, including homelessness, which seems to be still an issue here in the city of Atlanta. But this is money that will go back into the pockets of Georgians that desperately need it. Well, at the same time, over the last few years, we've been providing property tax relief, teacher pay raises, and everything else. So I think when the public is asking us to be stewards of their money, not growing the size of government, I think this is just taking another step forward, I think, in the leadership of the Senate, the governor, and even in the House, to do what Georgians are demanding us to do, which is give them their money back to spend it how they want it. And I hear from both sides of the aisle in my district. I hear from Republicans, I hear from Democrats, is that I can't pay, insurance, health care, going to the doctor, copay, child care. I could create a list of things, going to get a basic oil change if they even have a car, which most people right now can't even afford a car. So to go back and give them, if they're a single filer, north of $2,500, that's a pretty significant amount of money for someone who's basically making ends meet right now to survive. So, I respectfully disagree with the minority party and hope that as this moves forward, we see a unanimous vote on the Senate floor when this bill hits the floor, Chairman Tillery. So I just want to say thank you to your work and the senators around this table.
Thank you, Senator Harbison, and then Senator Dolezal.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me also thank the chairman.
Okay, you've been listening live to the Georgia Senate Special Committee hearing on possibly eliminating Georgia's income tax. I mean, not a done deal by any means, but they're talking about it. What would that mean for you? Well, right now you're paying about 5% in state income tax, sales tax about 4% here. But then you compare that to about 6% state income, or a sales tax rather, in Florida, and a 7% sales tax in Tennessee. And those are two neighboring states without income tax. So will Georgia be the next to take the plunge? We'll just have to wait and see. But now we want to welcome Cheryl Preheim to the studio. Cheryl, it's great to have you here.
Oh, I love the digs. I love it here.
I know. You're
Looks
welcome
good.
back anytime. And I think we're going to have you back a ton
I hope so.
in the coming weeks, because we were talking about the Winter Olympics, now officially 30 days out.
I know it makes my heart race a little bit in all the right ways.
Yes.
I'm very excited. It's like full court press now. A lot of Team USA selections happening right now. This weekend is going to be the final. Bow will be tied on Team USA figure skating. So, they work for years and years and years. They still have to make the team. And a lot of the Olympians will tell you the most stressful part of all of this is just making Team USA, because the trials, they say, even more stressful than the Olympics because Team USA is that competitive.
Wow. And so many of these fantastic athletes Cheryl's been highlighting and bringing us some of their stories. And you've got another great one this morning.
Yeah, Alana Myers-Taylor is Georgia's own. Born and raised in Douglasville, Georgia. She says ATL is home, always will be. Both her little boys were born here. She says no matter where she is in the world, Atlanta's always home. So it's kind of cool that Atlanta has not only a Winter Olympian, which is ironic, and she loves the irony of that, but one of the Winter Olympians, because she's absolutely an icon in the sport of bobsled. She grew up playing softball. She was a great softball player in college, but then softball was taken out of the Olympics. So her story is so cool because she says, I just want to be an Olympian. I want to be among the most elite athletes in the world. So what sport should I do?
She just pivoted?
And she pivoted from softball to bobsled. And not only did she make her first Olympics, but if she is in Milan Cortina, it'll be her 5th. And she is the most decorated Black Winter Olympian in all history.
Where does she practice?
All over the place. I mean, and I say that because she's also a mom of 2 little boys, and you understand that world. And so she dry land practice, which would be like off-season practice. She'll local high schools, any local college tracks.
Yeah.
A lot of it is about being explosive, being a sprinter, being strong. So a ton of time in the weight room. But then when she practices on ice, she's up in Lake Placid at the Olympic Training Center in New York.
Has she won medals before?
She's won 5 Olympic medals, the most decorated. The one she doesn't have yet is gold. And I mean, she was so close to it. In Pyeongchang, I was there with her, and she comes off her sled, and she's got her shoe off, and she's limping, and she's not saying much about it. She missed gold by 100th of a second, and we found out later she had already torn her Achilles, and she still got that close to gold. So she's been so close so many times. And I said, do you just put it out there? What's my goal? And she said, yeah, because I just feel like, why not? She said, if I could write the script, I would choose to win 2 golds in Milan Cortina, 1 in the monobob, which is just 1 person in the sled, and 1 in the dual. And I'd put 1 around each of my little boys' necks.
Oh, gosh.
So that's the dream.
We're
dreaming for her.
Well, let's listen to some of the interview with Cheryl and Alana Myers-Taylor.
When we sat down before the last Olympics, you were talking about potentially retiring. What made you say, I'm going to give it another go?
It's funny because apparently at those games I told several athletes that I was retiring. I told them that I was done. I don't remember that. But after 2022 and how hard it was and having COVID and overcoming that and walking away with 2 medals, I was, it felt like a really good cap on my career. Like I had the 2 medals and I was opening ceremony flag bearer. Didn't get to walk, but then I got named closing ceremony, and it felt like a good final chapter. However, then I had Noah, and it turns out he's deaf as well, and I felt even more this calling to go out there and do this with him as well. And if I could, give him the opportunity to see his mom at her finest and going out there and pursuing your goals. And to be honest, I was going to take it 1 step at a time, and I was going to take it 1 year at a time, because traveling the world with 2 kids is a whole nother ball game. And so I told myself, it's like, okay, we'll go 1 more year, we'll see if we're competitive, and if we're not, we'll just shut it down. And that first year, there was plenty of ups and downs. I came out hot, and then we hit a dip, and I just wasn't winning anymore. And so I was really questioning whether or not we were going to continue, and then lo and behold, World Championships hits, and I win a medal. So then I was like, guess we're going, guess we're doing this. So it really has been one of those kind of things. It's been really cool to do this with my kids, but also to prove to myself that being a mom hasn't stopped me from pursuing my dreams. And all the stuff we encounter as parents, like there's still a way. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard, it's not easy, but there's still a way to go after our goals and also be an example to our kids.
After that World Championships, I was like, Mom still got it. She still got it. And I think it's a really important part of the conversation that there would have been years ago that even the thought of starting a family would just sort of assume that a woman would then retire. And that has really changed as more and more elite athletes say, no, I can still be competitive as a mom over a certain age. It's just like breaking barrier after barrier.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see the rise of female athletes continuing their career after they have children, after they give birth and whatnot, because it's just female athletes like, I think we don't know the limit of like the age that female athletes can be and hit their peak, because for so long they've given up their athleticism in order to go into motherhood, which is, don't get me wrong, that is completely honorable and huge, and I want all female athletes to have the choice. I want them to be able to say, hey, I want to continue to do this as a mother, or I want to retire and be a mother. Both are great options, either is fine, but now that they have the option to continue your career and you're seeing more and more opportunities, I think we're really going to see female athleticism and female competition really explode, because we don't know, like for so long it's thought, you know, women peak in their 20s, or maybe they peak in their 30s, or who knows, maybe it's 40. I'm hoping it's 41. So you never know. So I think it's been really cool, but I think also it's been really cool to see and to learn from other female athletes who do travel with their kids, you know, being able to talk with Allison Felix and learn from her experience, and being able to see Serena Williams and all these other mom athletes do it. It's really encouraging.
Wow, what an inspiration, Cheryl.
You can see why I've loved getting to know her over the last 15 years.
She's 41, and she has it all. She's got the family. She's still going to the Olympics, and she's going for that gold.
And a big piece of this puzzle is dad. Nick Taylor was also an Olympic bobsledder for many Olympics, and they trained together, and he has been her coach, her strength coach. He now has his license as a chiropractor. He got that degree here in Atlanta, and he's working for a professional athletic team, but he's still her strength and conditioning coach, and they're together all the time. So they're in it together, and it's really a family story. And she mentioned her oldest son Nico is 6, and he has Down syndrome and he's deaf, and Noah, who's 2, is also deaf, so she's learning American Sign Language. She is a big advocacy for kids with differing abilities, and so there is so much to her on top of this incredible Olympic career that the world's really cheering on.
I mean, you got me rooting her on now, too. What other stories can we expect over the next 30 days?
Oh, gosh, there's so many. Lindsey Vohn's a big story, also 41, retired for 5 years on the U.S. ski team, decided she just missed it. She had a few years to recover after a lot of surgery. She's back. She's doing well, so that's a big comeback story. But Team USA skiing is about Michaela Schifrin. Make no doubt about it. She has more World Cup wins than any man or woman in the world.
Wow.
And she's incredible. She's coming off a big surgery, but she won 6 World Cups in a row, so she's got all this momentum. And on a personal note, I got to know Michaela when she was 15, living in her parents' condo in Colorado, just the most down-to-earth fun. She likes to play the piano and strum on the guitar and sit with her cat, and she's just the most authentic, real person, and she's kept that even though she is a global superstar in skiing. So cheer her on. She's fantastic. And then USA figure skating, I think, is as strong as they've been in decades. You know, Ilian Milanin they call him the quad god. He does 7 quads in one show. It's just unreal, and he's fantastic. Alyssa Liu, she had been Olympian at 13 years old, decided it was too much pressure. Now she's back on her own terms, and she's terrific. I mean, Team USA is going to be really fun to watch this time.
You're hyping us all up, and it's 30 days out now.
It'll live up to the hype, I promise.
You packed yet? You got to get to Italy soon.
I got some work to do.
You got plenty of time. It'll sneak up. Cheryl, great to have you.
Thanks.
All right. Hey, we got more coming up after this short break. See you in a couple minutes. Let's talk about your money. Stocks taking a little bit of a breather this morning after rallying to start the year. It's really been a nice start on Wall Street for 2026. The Dow right now down about 200 points. This after the last couple of days having a really nice run, up some 300, 400, 500 points the last couple of days. In fact, just putting this drop today in perspective for you, since January 1st, the Dow index up 1,000 points. And yet, you see, we are watching for whether it will hit 50,000, maybe not today, but maybe at some point this week. And now let's get back to that special Senate hearing going on here in Georgia at the state capitol regarding the potential elimination of the state income tax. Lawmakers are talking about the feasibility of it and what it would mean for you, what it would mean for the sales tax. Let's hear what they're saying right now.
Eliminate a lot of those credits entirely. The 10%, is that across the board for every tax credit, or is that going to have to be decided one-on-one?
Yeah, the bill lays out and shows that 10%, you only have to take 10% of what's laying out there to make this plan work.
So you
So
could
it could be
eliminate one or two of
You
those
could eliminate
credits.
one or two.
Okay.
You could curb two to four. You've got $30 billion out there that we're now giving in special interest credits. What this does set up is a reduction of 10% in special interest credits in order to give 64% of Georgians, 100% of Georgians a tax cut, and 64% of Georgians a tax elimination.
Right. One last thing, I would like to also make sure we don't lose sight of the need to constantly look for ways to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse. We've seen some stories recently in Minnesota and other states where there's some significant fraud. I hope that's not occurring in the state of Georgia. Yeah. We need to look for ways to reduce the size of our government, get rid of the fraud, waste, and abuse, and lower the costs of government to our citizens, as well as lowering the income tax. So I applaud you for what we're doing. Let's move forward with the bill and see where we go from here.
Well, you opened up, we tried to keep it narrow, but since you opened up that question about waste, fraud, and abuse, you're obviously talking about the Minnesota child care instance. Yeah. I do want to say that our committee actually dove off into that too to make sure that that wasn't an avenue that we could find revenue to further reduce state income taxes. And what we found through working with Amy Jacobs at DECAL is that one of the reasons Minnesota had a few things that went wrong. They did not inspect the facility before this facility was opened. They did not do random inspections of the facilities, and they paid up front. Georgia does none of those things. For those of you listening, Georgia continued its random inspections of facilities twice a year, even during COVID. Although we were encouraged heavily not to, we kept that up, and we also pay in arrears. In other words, the child has to be in the facility, the parent in the facility have to sign off. There is a process in place that checks to make sure that that name of that child doesn't appear on any other roll, so there's not double paying before Georgia even issues a check back. We've been encouraged for years to try to pay up front. Of course, child care and placing institutions wish that we would do that, but we do not do that simply so we do not run into that Minnesota fraud that I appreciate you brought up, Senator Gooch. We had a subset of this committee that dove into that in December, and I wanted to make sure that the public as a large knew that. Can't promise you our system's perfect, but I do want you to know about the processes we put in place to make sure that we did not see a similar situation there, and those were put into place by Governor Deal and by Governor Kemp.
Thank you.
I think we've exhausted the questions. There's been a motion, I think, by the Pro Tem. And you have another question, Senator?
Thank you. Let me just express further my concerns about this. We heard no information in the course of this committee's hearings on the impact of the cuts in Washington that are coming down that will hit our budget. We heard nothing about that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was not factored in to looking at the financial posture that we're in as a state. We're going to have needs that can be documented, should have been documented, how the cuts in Washington are going to hit our state budget, and call on us to look for the resources to replace some of those holes that are going to be created. We have a housing crisis. We're not sailing along with clear skies ahead. We have a housing crisis. It's not related. It's not strictly Georgia, but we definitely have a homelessness issue. We have mental health needs. We have education needs, and pulling out a banner that we're going to cut people's taxes does not reflect the fact that an individual cannot take that tax refund and build a mental health system that they have needs for in their family, or improve their schools, address education needs, higher education. We're underfunding. Right now, we don't cover all the kids in the state with the pre-K program. We have holes. We're not fully staffing our agencies. We've had extensive, over the course of the last few years, heard about our workforce challenges, and so we are not in the clear in terms of having that we have no needs that we need to be funding. We need more robust funding in these areas and other areas, and so it flies under the banner of tax cuts for people under $100,000, but it doesn't address the very real budget needs that we have and that are going to increase when these cuts come from Washington. They're already starting. When people's insurance is health insurance is going to go up 2 and 3 times. That's what we're going to be hearing, and that individual. That's why I don't see this as a path forward that addresses the needs that Georgians have.
Oh, yes, sir.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Let me say one thing, Mr. President. I'm sorry. I consider this to be a well-established committee that was established to take a serious look at the budget, at the tax process here, and I think we're doing that. And I don't think anyone here, not in my estimation, look upon this as being a Democratic or Republican effort. I think that everybody here had an honest perspective regarding the people they represent and the issues they represent. So I just want to make sure that that is taken out of the equation, because everybody has a perspective, and it's based on what they perceive to be how this could affect them. Now, if there's a bill come out, and these deductions especially, that's a hard thing to vote against if you're going to vote against it, because it's a good perspective. But there are other things that you have to look at to say that outweighs that perspective until we get to a bill maybe that will compartmentalize this into a better format that would suit that particular individual. And that's my perspective on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion, and I've let discussion go further. There has not been a second. Do you want to make a second, Mr. Leader? Thank you. So we're in discussion, but we have been for 45 minutes. So thank you, Senator. Any other comments or questions? We've got a motion and a second on the floor. I want to ask the Pro Tem if he doesn't mind just restating the motion, because it's been a few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I move that we approve the final report and recommendations of the Georgia Senate Special Committee on the Elimination of Georgia's Income Tax.
There's a motion. Do you still feel comfortable making the second?
Absolutely.
Second from Senator Anna Vitarte. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the proposal, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no?
No.
All right, let's do a roll call. I'll call it. Senator Anna Vitarte?
Aye.
Senator Dolezal?
Aye.
Senator Harbison?
No.
Senator Huffstetler?
Aye.
Senator Gooch?
Yes.
Senator Orrock?
No.
Senator Rett? No. Senator Walker?
Aye.
Senator Watson? I think the passes 6-3. I would vote yes if I had to vote, and so the motion stands. The motion carries. Thank you for your time today. We have no other business, and we stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's the Georgia Senate Special Committee on Eliminating Georgia's Income Tax holding its final meeting today, presenting its report about eliminating the state income tax, what exactly that would look like potentially for the state. Still a long ways to go before this could potentially happen. You know, some arguments for elimination that we hear from people say that Georgia has a big budget surplus of nearly $15 billion. And then on the other side of the debate, you hear opponents saying, well, that surplus demonstrates Georgia's tax structure, keeping the state fiscally healthy, and saying that money could be spent on public services, and also saying that any elimination of the state income tax would be a transfer of wealth, arguing that if the state income tax went away, what would that do to the state's sales tax? Would that now make groceries more expensive and items for children's school clothing? So a debate we will certainly continue to follow. And now I just want to take you to Fulton County, where the Board of Commissioners is meeting as we speak. We're keeping an eye on this meeting, not because of the budget talks that they are clearly undergoing right now, but because of preparations for the World Cup. The Board of Commissioners is going to be discussing that at some point in this meeting this morning. So we're going to be keeping an eye on whether any news comes out of that. The World Cup, fast approaching, folks. It'll be here before you know it. Just 6 months from now, even a little less than that, Mercedes-Benz Stadium and us here in Atlanta, we're going to be hosting a number of countries from around the world for the World Cup. But before we get to the World Cup, we got to get to the Chick-fil-A Bowl. The Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl happening this Friday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium between Indiana and Oregon. We brought you a great interview with our sister station, WTHR, from live outside Mercedes-Benz. It was a lot of fun talking with them earlier this morning. And that's what we're doing every morning with you here on the 11Alive Plus stream, where around 10 o'clock every morning, we're going to be bringing you fun live interviews like that, adding context to the news of the day, bringing you breaking news from special Senate hearings and also Board of Commissioner meetings like you saw there, and also breaking news as it happens around your neighborhood. In fact, we are following some news right now of a potential large police presence at an Atlanta school coming up in just a few minutes at 11 a.m., so stick around here on 11 Alive Plus. There's going to be a live report. We have a crew outside of that school bringing you a report on what they are seeing there. Also, more on the state income tax vote that you just heard there, what this means for you and your wallet a little later down the road. The latest, of course, on Venezuela after the U.S. raid over the weekend took the president and his wife, now facing charges in New York. And how about the Ponce City development going on? I was just there a couple weeks ago. Great place to hang out, but some restaurants leaving Ponce City Market. What does it mean for the future of that fantastic area? I'm going to leave you with a wonderful shot out of Sandy Springs, the King and Queen building. The fog has finally lifted after another foggy start to the morning. The blue skies are out. There's still a little bit of clouds hanging around. And we're going to be flirting with some record high temperatures. Rain on the way this weekend, though. Don't miss Chesley's forecast. It's coming up in just 2 minutes. Keep it here on 11 Alive Plus.